Hello everyone, I like to use 3 videos to introduce the communication between YASKAWA MP3300, this motion controller, and Allen Bradley and Siemens controller. So in this video, I will introduce the Profinet communication between the MP3300 and the Siemens controller. And when we run the Profinet device for the MP3300, we need to purchase one device as a slot module. So the YASKAWA MP3300 is a very great motion controller. It can control multiple motion axes, especially using the Mechatronic this network. It can communicate with YASKAWA servo motors, so you can do the multiple axis motion controls. However, currently this controller does not come with the safety function. As we know, most of cases when we implement the motion controllers, the safety function STO, SLS, and SS1, those safety functions are quite essential and significant functions we need to implement building into our machine system. However, this controller does not come with the safety built-in function. We can definitely need to use the safety controller and safety relays to implement the safety control. But some cases, the safety control may be a little bit complex, so using the relay only is a little hard to implement. So that's why usually when we have the motion control system, we probably can use the Allen Bradley safety controller and the Siemens safety controller as the PLC logic-wise control, safety control. And this YASKAWA MP3300 can focus on the motion control. Especially this controller comes with the Ethernet IP, this protocol built in. It can run as Ethernet IP master, also can run as Ethernet IP adapter. It also comes with the slots, so that allows you to purchase one additional module can run as a Profinet device. So basically, set up the communication between Allen Bradley and the Siemens controller, there's no any issues. So in this video, I will introduce how can we set up the Profinet communication between Siemens 1200 PLC and this YASKAWA MP3300. And to set up the Profinet communication from the YASKAWA side, you have to purchase this add-on module. Its number is 226IF-02. So this Profinet module allows this MP3300 can run as Profinet device. And in this case, the Siemens controller will run as Profinet master. And quickly introduce the cables at here. So as we can see, so firstly, from the PLC, this Profinet master, I have this blue Ethernet cable connect to the Profinet, this module here. And then this cable go to the Ethernet switch. So using this way, my laptop can go through these 2 ports and download the program to the Siemens controller, and also allows the Siemens controller to connect to this Profinet device at here. And this cable, this comes with the MP, this controller built-in port. And this port comes with Ethernet IP communication, also a built-in web page. If we set up the IP address for this controller, we need to connect to this port. That's why this 3 port connect with cables. And you will also see these 2 ports. These 2 ports are actually running Mechatronic, the protocol behind. So they are specially used for communicate with the YASKAWA drive. So they are running the Mechatronic link protocol behind. Okay, so again, this port is used to program this controller and also browse the web page from this MP3300. And these 2 ports, so they are communicate together, and this port go to the Ethernet switch. So I can download the Siemens PLC and assign the device name for this Profinet board. This is the Profinet network. Alright, let's firstly go to the MP33 and let's use the MotionWorks IEC software to configure the Profinet. This is my YASKAWA programming platform. So I'm using the MotionWorks IEC3 Pro, this software. And this software, it has 30 days trial license. And once the trial license expires, you have to use one float USB key, the license key, to program this software. Okay, so now I'm still using the trial license. I can open up this software. Okay, so I can click this use trial. Okay, once we open the project, the first things we will think, how can we connect to the controller, right? I like to firstly introduce the web browser built into this MP3300. So if this is the initial status, your MP3300 controller, its IP address is 192.168.1.1. And while you are using this way, also need to take care the deep switch setting on the front. You also need to take care the deep switch setting in the front of this MP3300. So you need to turn on this config. So allows you to change the IP address after. So the initial IP address is this. So in my demo, I changed the IP address already. So this controller IP address is 1.10. Okay, I can click. So once you jump to this page, then you can click the login. By default, the user is admin. A is a capital, and the password, that is the MP3300, the capital MP3300, MP3300. Okay, sign in. You will see the couple options at here. So to change the IP address, you can go to the Ethernet config, and then you can change the IP address. Don't forget select the static IP. So we can use this IP address and use the MotionWorks software to connect this hardware. My IP address is 1.10. Okay, and once we open this MotionWorks IEC3 Pro, I can create one project. And in this case, I'm using the MP3300, so I'm gonna select this template. If you are using others, you can pick the one you are using. Okay, and then I'm gonna save as this project, save this project to a folder, MP33, Profinet, save. Then let's go to the hardware configuration. Then you will see this launch hardware configuration. We are at offline mode, so all the configuration showing at here that represent the offline configuration. Okay, and when you click the save, that means you will transfer your current offline configuration to the hardware. To do this, we have to connect the real hardware at first. Then let's look at this right side. Now we are at offline. We need to go online. And the IP address showing here, once we click connect, it will find this IP address and try to connect. So because the IP address of my controller now is 1.10, this is our controller now. Let's click the connect. Okay, the system actually, it compare the real configuration in this controller, and the left side, this is the offline configuration. The left side, this is our default project configuration. But the right side, this is my real hardware. If your hardware is connecting some server drive, you will see it can show up the server drive via this Mechatronic 3, this network. But in this video, we do not need to care about this Mechatronic, so we can ignore this. The most important thing is this, for the option base. So as I introduced, now in this 3-slot space, this controller, this box, the very right side, the module is named the Profinet I/O device module 226IF-02. So this software browsed this real hardware. Then we can click this use startup configuration. That means our offline project will use this real hardware configuration. Okay, so we can click this use startup configuration. Then this project now here is show up this Profinet module. Okay, let's click this save configuration. Okay, when I click the save, it actually transfers this configuration back to the controller again. Then to implement this configuration, we need to cycle power. So to cycle power, we can click this reboot controller. Okay, let's click the reboot. Okay, now we reboot the controller. And this time, if I click the connect, so it doesn't show that difference anymore. That means the current configuration that match with the real hardware. Okay, and let's focus on this Profinet now. So if now I go to this Profinet, so let me firstly disconnect. So let's do the hardware configuration at the offline mode first. Okay, so if I click here, we will see this is the Profinet I/O device. If you're familiar with the Profinet communication, you will know the device name is very important. Actually, when the Siemens controller Profinet master to communicate with the device, the key things play the role to identify the address is the device name. So that's why when we try to configure this Profinet device, you cannot find any IP setting in somewhere. That's because to implement this Profinet I/O communication, the real important thing, that's the device name. Okay, this is a very important concept here. So we can leave this default device name here. The reason because the GSD file from the MP3300, or basically for this card, the default device name in that GSD file is the same as this name. And then let's go to this status variable. You can change this name. It actually doesn't matter. We can manually configure this after. This is very important I/O task assignment. The fast task, medium, and slow. So where we can find out the info for this fast task, it is here. So if we double click or if we go to the setting here, we will see by default, this fast task is cycle time is 8 milliseconds. This update time can be set to associate with the Profinet cycle time. Usually the Profinet cyclic time could be 2 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds, or even 8 milliseconds. Okay, in this case, I will set 4 milliseconds just for testing purpose. Okay, 4 milliseconds, basically a fast I/O scan time. Okay, and let's go back to this hardware. Okay, it select default, select this fast task. And then let's go to this length. So for the Profinet communication, the maximum here, it can take 1024 bytes, basically 512 words. Basically, if we select 128 words, or basically this is the 256 bytes, that's good enough, right? If you need a longer, you can definitely select the bigger one. Okay, in this case, I will pick this 128 words right here. And then we can see this output state when the PLC stops. That means if the master stop or the communication lose, so all the info, all the command from the master to this device, to this MP3300, if the communication drop, we retain those last state of value or we set all those value to 0. Most of cases, we can select this, retain the last state. Okay, so we can leave it here. After you configure this, you can click this Save Configuration. And then let's click this Connect. And definitely the system will find some different configuration. So this time, to transfer the hardware configuration to the controller, then we will select the left side, use the offline configuration. Okay, so we will use the configuration we just did. And this time, if I click the Save, then the system will show, okay, the system will show we master cycle power. Okay, so now I can click this Reboot Controller. Then your configuration will be valid. Okay, and keep in mind again, and this name must match with the TI Portal, the Siemens side device name. Okay, and after this hardware configuration, let's see how can we use the program to browse the Profinet I/O. Then let's go to the global variable list here. So we can shrink this system variables, and we will see here the Profinet. Profinet, the short name here, that named IM01 and OM01. Okay, input and output. And also here, it gives you two examples. So usually I will manually delete this. Okay, or at least leave this PN_01 right here. If we define this variable as a word, and this is the global variable, but how we can project that Profinet value from the RAM to this variable? We are using this way, the address. From this address list, this is very great. So this tells you for the Profinet communication, is actually range from this 144.992 to 145.247. Its actual length, that's the 256 bytes. Then this first value, that's the word. Then we need to start from here and write the IW. IW means word. So it starts from the 144.992. So we need to change this 992. Okay, this is the first word. Okay, and then if we click this append variable, then we can create the second one, Profinet 02 word. Okay, and the next word, so each value here that represent 1 byte. So the next word, it should be full here, 144.992. Start from the 144.992. Okay, and next one should be 144.994. Okay. So we can create 2 words here for testing purpose. Then this is the input. That input means the value from the master to this device. Then let's look at here. This is the output. The output means the data transfer from this MP3300 to the Siemens Profinet master. So we can see here. Go down, append. So this time we can name another way. For example, this is the MP2 master 01. Okay, and we can create word. Okay, and this time follow this format. So %QB 144.992. 144.992. Okay, we define this word, but here I wrote this is QB. It should be QW. Okay, if you define here as a byte, then you need to type in QB. If this is a word, you need to type in the QW. Okay, and append. This is MP2 master 02. Okay, and the word. And this time, it's the QW 144.994. Okay, 2 bytes inside. Okay, and if we create the third one, MP2 master 03, but this time this is the one real. So let's try if we can transfer the real. That is a %QD 144.996. Okay, and if I create one more, .04 real. And the next real value, we need to add 4 bytes, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. Then the next one will be 5,000. Because we need to add 4 bytes in here. Okay? So this is the next real value. Okay, we leave this 2 words and the 2 real here. And the key reason I create a real here, that's because this direction represents the data from this controller to the Profinet master. So as a motion controller, the common case, we need to transfer the actual position or actual velocity, right? So the real value is a very common case. We need to convert the long real or other values, convert to a real and transfer to the master. So from your master, you need to know the actual velocity and the real position from this motion controller. Okay, so we create it this way. And now we create everything and we can click this make. And we can download. So to download, we can click this project, this dialog. And firstly, we can click this download. Make sure this more, we check this permanent as a boot project. So once the system loses power up, so all your configuration can still store into your controller. Okay, active this selection. Okay, and then let's click this download. So before I download, I need to stop the CPU first and click this download. Okay. Because this is almost my first time to download this controller. So I need to totally download this project. And after the download, I will click this warm start. And then the system automatically turn on this debug mode. So we can monitor those values at here. Okay, so we can prepare two values at here. For example, we can double click here. We can prepare 3.14. So we assume this one is the speed and this one is a position. So this is the number 4 real. So we can change to 100. So we can change to 100.56. Okay, just to prepare this two value here. And for this word, we can change to 123. So give a 123 integer value. Okay, so this one is showing the hex. To change to the decimal, we can click this decimal and click this close. And then we can see it changed to 123. Okay, this can change the showing the value type. Okay. All right, now we prepare those values. We can shift to the Siemens side and let's configure the Profinet master. All right, this is my Siemens TI Portal platform. And in this case, I will use the Siemens i7-1200 controller as a hardware. And I will use the TI Portal version 17 to program this project. And a very important file, you need to set up the Profinet communication, that is a GSD file. So I will attach this GSD file under this video. And if we open this GSD file, we will see this GSD file, that version is 2.2, up to date now. It named 226IF-02. This is the same name as the hardware, this Profinet card I introduced. Okay, so now let's open this TI Portal version 17 and let's first install this GSD file first. And let's install the GSD. So manage the GSD file. Okay, and let's select the directory. Select this folder. Then it will browse all the GSD file inside this directory, this folder. Okay, it found YASKAWA, this Profinet device GSD file. Let's click and click this install. Okay, we install this GSD file successfully. Close. All right, now let's create a new project. i7-1200_PN with MP3300. Okay, click this create. All right, let's add the CPU. IP address 1.174. Okay, this is my Profinet master IP address. Now let's go to the hardware, this network wheel, and let's click this hardware catalog. So, and from here I can search YASKAWA, and we can see it named MP2000-266IF-02. Here it named MP2000. This card can be used for MP2000 series and the 3000 series. This name doesn't matter. So you just need to double check if this name that match 266IF-02. Okay, 266IF-02. Okay, let's drag to here. All right, and let's drag this network. Once you drag this network, and once you see the rail like this, blue and white, that means we set up this Profinet communication. And if we click here, this portion here, let's check the Profinet setting. So firstly, check the IP address for this device. If we click this, show the IP label, default is set 1.1. So the real IP address is 1.10, right? We just programmed the MP3300. The IP address is 1.10. And scroll down. This is very important. If as a default, generate the Profinet name automatically. So we'll see MP2000-266IF-02. This name must match with the name in the MotionWorks, the software. Okay, so if we go back again, so click this hardware and we will see this Profinet, this name MP2000. This name must exactly match. Okay? A common fault to set this IP address, the people will set the same IP address as the YASKAWA, the controller 1.10, the IP address. I set 1.10 here especially show this wrong case. We can see after I download the controller what the trouble will make. We configure this station. Now let's double click, jump inside, and let's configure the 128 words communication input and output. Okay, so now if we go here, we can firstly configure 128 words. Let's see if it has 128 words. Okay, it has this 128 words. Okay, let's drag to here. And let's also drag the output 128 output. So this is all the options you can select. Okay, make sure this input and output, they are matching with the motion control works that side, software side. Okay, we configure like this. We can also change this start address. So if I change to starting from the 100, so we will see it actually runs, this is the 256 bytes. Okay, so start from the 100, so 256 bytes, 128 words. Okay, here we can compile and download this controller. And Profinet run as the hardware portion, so we only need to compile the hardware and download the hardware. And once the controller download, we will see the communication will be set up. So okay, before we download, we will see the current status now. So this controller now, it has nothing. That's why it's showing the gray indicator here. But for the MP3300, especially for this Profinet device, this here, we will see this BF is flashing here. That means it haven't set up the Profinet master communication yet. It cannot find the master. That's why it shows this blinking here. Okay, and this two indicator shows the connection. If I unplug one cable, so it will lose one indicator. Okay, so now I'm going to download. I will download this 1.174, this controller. Click download. Select as a trusted device. Here is a problem I especially like to show. So after this download, after the controller started, we will see the controller is keeping flashing. And the YASKAWA side MP3300, the BF, also showing this blinking. That's because the IP address. So during I tested this demo, I found as long as at the TI portal side, if I set the IP address 1.10, the 192.168.1.10, as long as IP address is the same as the Ethernet port of the MP3300, then somehow this IP address conflicts inside the MP3300. To correct this, in the TI portal, we need to set the different IP address for the Profinet device. So let's check what's going on here. Firstly, I'm gonna review the setting from this device. I like to double check the communication, the cycle time. So my cycle time is 4 milliseconds. And the reason why I set 4 here, that's to match the setting from the MotionWorks. The cycle time from the MotionWorks, I set 4 milliseconds. Let's correct this IP address setting. Okay, go to the IP address. So let's try this time. If I change this IP address to another name, just to give a virtual IP address, say 1.11, as long as this Profinet, this IP address is not the same as this controller built in this IP address, it should work. Let's try this time. So if I change to 1.11, if I go to this network again, show this IP address. So my controller is 1.174 and this port is 1.10. But I give a virtual IP address for this Profinet, this address. That's the 1.11. Let's see this time. So save the project and download. Okay, let's download. Consider as a trusted device. Okay, it's downloading. Okay, so let's see this time. Okay, so we can see this BF indicator is not on anymore. So let's click this finish start module. Okay, now we can see there's no any fault here, and the master side also shows all good. So if I click this online now, okay, so we can see all the status, they all correct. And now, all right, to monitor those input and output, let's go to the watch list. So before I increase any logic here, I can just directly watching the input and the output. So firstly, the data from the MP3300 to i7-1200, that's the input value of the i7-1200. So that input, from the input, that's the IW100. Okay, and the second IW102. Okay, and then we have a two real value transfer from the MP3300 to the 1200. Okay, so that's the ID 4 bytes, right? So 4 bytes start from the 104. Okay, and we can change this to the float point value. Okay, and also here we can change to the date type to integer, decimal. Okay, and the next integer, this 104 includes 4 bytes, 4, 5, 6, 7. So next one will be 108. Okay, this is the float. Okay, and meantime, we can add a line, and let's show the output, the i7-1200 to MP3300. So we have the QW100, and let's type in the decimal, and QW102, this is the next one, decimal. Okay, and let's click this monitor. So we cycle power the MP3300, that's why the value we set that lost. So firstly, we can set some value, 111 and 222. Transfer. Okay, and then let's shift to the MP3300 side. Let's see if this value received. Okay, once we shift to the MotionWorks, the YASKAWA side, and we will see this global variable, the two tags we created here, they start from the 992. The first word, 111, we received successfully. And the second word, 2 bytes here, the next one will be 994, so 222 we received here. And now let's send some data from this YASKAWA side to the Siemens side. So the first word we can set, double click here, we can set value 123. And the next one, 456, right? And the float value, 3.14. And this one, we can set 100.56. Okay, we send this value, and then let's shift to the Siemens side, and let's see if it received this value. Okay, this is the Siemens side, and we can see it can receive this 123, 456, 3.14, and this float value here. And if this time I change the setting value to 222, let's change to 444 and 555. So it should also receive. Okay, so if we shift here, shift back to the, so we can see 444, 555 received successfully. Okay, now that means all the communication that got successfully now. So quickly review the one important setting from this YASKAWA side. This is this option-based module 226IF-02. And we assigned 128 words input and output. And after this, we need to claim the variables. The variables need to project with this system automatically assigned this range, this bytes range. Don't forget download hardware configuration and download this project, and then click this debugging, monitor those values. And from the Siemens side, we have a slightly glitched here. So if we go to the hardware configuration, actually doesn't need any special. The only things I had trouble before here, when we configure this device as an I/O device, so the IP address here, MP33, that built-in Ethernet IP port. So that IP port is 1.10. We cannot set the same. If we set the same, then this communication will conflict inside. So basic idea, we give a virtual IP address to this device. This is the 1.11. After we set this, all the communication recovered. All the communication that set up correctly. So now everything is green. Okay, this is the Profinet communication between Siemens and this MP3300, this motion controller.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumb up. If you like to watch more videos in my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching.